Hello everybody and welcome to the GMS Magazine channel. I am Paco Garcia, your host, and this is another RPG interview room, but this is a special episode because we've recorded this specifically for Spiel Digital 2020. The convention has gone digital because of COVID-19, as you can imagine, and I thought that this would be a wonderful opportunity to actually join the crew and go back, or to, yes, I know, not big on the floor, but this is the closest. So I wanted to support them however I could, and I also wanted to support the company that I am interviewing today. Before that, though, a little bit of an announcement. Remember that from time to time we are, releasing a random word in the middle of some videos, and the first person who comes to Facebook and tell me, "Hey Paco, this is a word," is going to get a $50 voucher, so they can buy whatever game you want to buy with it. So please keep an eye on some of the videos that we've released. It's not just this video; it could be any of the videos that we released throughout the month. Anyway, the company that I was talking to you about is Ardent Roleplay, which is a company that I have a lot of hope for because they are doing an absolutely fantastic platform for augmented reality around the table for role-playing games. Now, I've always been very skeptical and cynical about technology around the table, but this time, they are onto something. They really have created a platform that truly complements the table, which is wonderful. It doesn't replace it, it doesn't distract from it, it really enhances it, and it has an awful lot to offer. But a company like this is nothing without a community to support it. And therefore, today I have with me Shaun Sundy, who is the community manager and has a lot to tell us about what kind of community they want to have around, how to participate, where to go, and basically how to be part of this absolutely wonderful project. So, without further ado, I will see you after the interview. Shaun, welcome to the show. First time you're here. You are the third person that I have the pleasure of interviewing about the roleplay. But you have a much more different role than the previous ones. How are you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good. Flat out, excited, preparing for Spiel, among many things.
Well, they say that being busy is a good thing, but you can have a little bit too much of some good things sometimes. So I know what Spiel, the physical Spiel, is like, and if this, the digital is anything like, I think the two of us are going to be incredibly tired by the time we finish.
Yes, PAX was really busy online this year, so I can imagine Spiel's going to be much the same.
Good. That would be good news, actually, so I will definitely be up for that. Okay, before we start, because we've never really spoken, you and I, and, we need a bit of a warm-up to make sure that we're both in the mood for asking and answering questions. So I have 5 questions for you, okay. just to get it started. So, question number 1, tea or coffee?
Coffee. Well, okay. Both, but I am a coffee head.
Okay, good. Because I'm the same. Though I love tea. Well, it depends what, but never mind. Question number 2, the beach or the mountain?
Mountain mostly. Beach at sunset.
Oh, that's specific.
Yeah, nice sunset walk on the beach is really relaxing.
True. Very true indeed.
Sleeping near the beach.
Okay.
Is nice when you can hear the ocean, but you're not on the beach.
I grew up like that, so I know exactly what you say. Okay, cars or motorbikes?
Well, personally, I like motorbikes, but for safety factors and the fact that people here drive real bad, cars.
Are you serious? In Australia, are you bad drivers? Because I would have thought with massive roads and... Oh, okay. You're in the big city. Okay.
Yeah. In my city, they are terrible drivers.
We have some of those in Spain as well, and I don't get it. Some people think that traffic lights are just mere ornaments, like, permanent Christmas trees or something, which is bizarre. Okay. We're going to get a little bit harder now. Fantasy or science fiction?
Ooh. You got me there. There's a lot of context to that, actually. RPGs at the moment, fantasy.
Okay.
Comics, about here, sci-fi, fantasy.
Okay.
Prose, fantasy.
Okay. Okay. So.
Yeah. Video games, 50-50.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah.
Good. I'm on the pro tastes. I like that. Okay. Last but not least, zombies or vampires?
Also good question. Films, vampires, there's a lot of room to actually get interesting with it, and most of the ground for zombies has been covered. I have been reading some really interesting takes on zombies in comics recently, though. Outside of Ardent, I'm also a comics creator, so I read a lot of comics. I have a talk show about comics. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting takes on zombies and stuff. Well, actually, there's a lot of interesting takes about vampires right now, too. It's sort of having a resurgence. But
Good, at last. It was about time, because I think Twilight undid for vampires everything that Buffy and Angel did for it 20 years ago. So, yeah,
well,
it's about time.
If you want to read some good vampire stories, tap me later.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good to me indeed. Okay, right. Let's talk about you and Ardent Roleplay, because you are the community manager for the company, which is a role that more and more companies, both inside and outside role-playing games, are getting into. But it's a role that not many companies can fulfill because, well, plenty of companies are just one-man bands or one-woman bands. So, tell me a little bit about how did you land a job as a community manager for a company like Ardent?
Okay, well, starts a few years back. I am a freelance artist, game designer, comics creator, and YouTube creator. So I had to learn social media the hard way. And I had to learn how to be my own community presence in multiple communities. And after a while, I've mostly been in hospitality for the last 10 years. So I already had a lot of dealing with people and convincing people to buy things, especially when they've had a few drinks.
Oh, well, that makes it easier, though.
It does. It does. And so combining what I was learning about social media, being a creative, and my people skills from hospitality, I started working on that and building up my presence in the community, and decided that I wanted to try to move out of hospitality and more into the social media marketing field, where I could ideally work from home so that I could balance my work and my own freelance stuff. And I met the Ardent guys last year at PAX. I'd also already sort of seen some of their videos on the internet, but didn't know that they were local Brisbane people. I just seen the videos, bumped into them at the Melbourne airport. And I was like, oh, hey, you guys were at the Brisbane airport. Are you going to PAX, I'm guessing? Like, oh, yeah, we'll be demoing there. Okay, cool. I'll see if I can find your booth over the weekend. And off we trotted. Next day I walk past and I see their booth and I figure out what's going on. And I was like, oh my God, you're these guys. Okay, show me the thing. I've seen this thing online. Show me the thing. And so they did, and I thought it was really cool. And they had the photo booth competition going on, and I jumped in that with my buddy because I was down there demoing my board game as well. So I was like right across from their booth the whole weekend. So we went over and got the photos there and entered the competition. And then once we got back to Brisbane, I won the competition. So I got the T-shirt and some posters and a deck of the cards and stuff. And Soren kindly ran me through the app a bit, which was around the time when I actually started organizing the big game that I'm running this week.
Right.
With B. Dave Walters. We've been planning it for that long. It's just been scheduling and projects and all that sort of thing. And also me learning how to use Ardent when I had time to feel confident doing it. And then once COVID hit and we were all like home full time, decided, you know what? I think maybe it's time for me to do a course in social media just so I can wave that piece of paper at an employer and go, look, here's my portfolio and here's a piece of paper that says I can do it. Because it's a bit of a thing in Australia that a lot of employers really want the piece of paper, even when the piece of paper doesn't necessarily say you can prove that you can do the job.
You know, it's funny you should say that, because I've spent 17 years living in the UK. So I was all right at English before. I'm perfect bilingual now. And when I came back to Spain and I went to some job interviews and I said, you know, English, what's your level of English? Because that's an important skill to have in my country. And I would say, you know, I'm perfect bilingual. And everybody would say, well, what's your qualifications? Well, I don't fucking need a qualification. I'm been there 17 years. Why would I need qualifications? Can you hear me? Oh, no. You need to have a C1 or C2 level. What the hell? And I had to go and literally go to an exam just in the afternoon. I didn't prep or anything, just to get a piece of paper that says Paco speaks English. And then I got noticed, which is a bit... Hello, look at my CV, 17 years in the UK.
Yeah, no, it's same thing here. I have been running my own social medias and organized multiple events and things like that, and run social media crowdfunding campaigns and stuff for them. And all of that's in my LinkedIn. And I couldn't even get an interview here. And a lot of the jobs here for like entry level and even some internships want you to have a marketing degree.
And 3 years experience.
Mm-hmm. And do you know what a marketing degree doesn't necessarily teach you how to do?
Marketing.
Social media marketing and community management.
Yes.
It's a very, very specific set of skills. So I decided to do the course, and I sort of put a post out there. Ralph backed my Indiegogo last year as well, actually. Like, not long after we met, we sort of started networking, and Ralph backed my campaign for my D&D supplement that I'd created. And so we'd already sort of had an established relationship there. And Ralph saw me posting about community management, asking some of my friends what qualifications they got, how they got their jobs and stuff like that. And then I ended up just coincidentally messaging him going, oh, hey, I just enrolled in this course. And so Ralph said, hey, would you be interested in community management sort of positions? Like, that's exactly what I'm interested in. And I already love your product, so let's talk.
Well, yes, I think that's kind of a combination made in heaven, which is absolutely fantastic. Okay, how much, for you as a community manager, how much do you think you need to love the product to be able to become the community manager for a product?
I think you need to... All right, so I divorce this into like two subjects. There's social media management and community management. Community management includes your social media management. That's a part and parcel of it. But you can be a social media manager without being a community manager. That's, to me, that's just running the account, creating the content, posting the stuff, responding to messages and comments with a, yep, we can do that. Thank you, that sort of thing. Whereas community management is really the networking and engagement and working with influencers and actually building a brand and a community around your company and creating that base of loyal people who love what you do and love the way you interact with the community and want to engage with you more on more levels than just buying your product. And to do that, you need to be passionate about it. To run a social media account, you just need to know how to run a social media account and do marketing. But to be a community manager for a specific product and to create a community, a place where people can come and go, hey, I want to learn more about your thing and I want to engage with other people who like your thing. Where can I do that? You need to have a passion for the product and a passion for the people that are also passionate about the product.
What kind of community have you found around Ardent? Because one of the things about Ardent Roleplay is that it's a very breakthrough company. It's truly doing something that, even though some people have attempted in the past, they haven't really succeeded, and I don't think any other company in the past has managed to do a virtual reality, enhance augmented reality as well
Yeah.
as Ardent does. What kind of community have you found that are
Well,
passionate about that product?
honestly, it's a combination of creating a whole new one
Mhm.
and folding Ardent into the community that I'm already a part of in the greater TTRPG space,
Mhm.
and introducing all of those people that I've already connected with, all of the people that are fans of my work already, and saying, hey, look at this thing. I love this thing. I love this thing so much I got a job here. Why don't you come and look at this thing? And so we've been introducing Ardent to the D&D, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu community at large, but we've also been creating our own space. We've got an Ardent Discord server, which when I joined the company, I gave it a fresh coat of paint and really sort of reorganized things. I've brought Ardent into an Australian TTRPG creative server that I run and have a channel just for Ardent news, so that if people come in and go, hey, what's something cool I can do for my D&D stream? We can direct them to that channel. They can check it out. And then if they want to, they can hop over into the Ardent Discord and engage with the team and see what we're working on and get a look behind the scenes and all that sort of thing.
As a community manager, what kind of community do you want to see? What does that community look like?
To me, it is people who love the game, whichever game that is. If Ardent can help bring a whole new level of immersion to that game, and you're excited about your game, we want to work with you to make your game even more exciting. So we want passionate people. We're a community that loves D&D and Pathfinder and Burn Bright and Vampire the Masquerade, and love to play with their friends, and especially in these times of remote play, want to have something that can create more of a joint experience together again. Like that, the whole thing of being able to show all of your players this thing and you can all look around it at the same time brings in that sense of togetherness, as if you're sitting around a table full of terrain again. And so yeah, we want that engaged, happy. We want a community of people who want to support each other and that we can support. We love sharing resources for games with our members of our community. We love lifting up our local streamers and seeing if, boosting them on our own channels, seeing if there's anything we can do to partner with them and bring them onto our channel. That's sort of the vibe we're going for, is a community of support and excitement.
Okay. In terms of community of support, what kind of code of conduct have you established within your communication channels to make sure that support is there and that there is safety for people when they express their opinions and don't get ostracized for, the rampant racism or homophobia that some people express quite openly and unashamedly these days, unfortunately?
Well, that's a really easy answer, actually. Straight up, the first thing that somebody has to do when they join our Discord server, they can't see any channels until they go to the rules and read and agree with a reaction to the rules, which says no racism, no misogyny, no ableism, no homophobia, no transphobia, we've got a very short but very exact code of conduct that these things will not be tolerated in our space. This is a space of inclusivity, a space of welcomeness, and we will not tolerate any hate or bigotry in this space.
However, even though that is definitely the right step to take, the right first step to take, by my experience, and both with communities that I have managed and communities I am a member of, that doesn't necessarily stop people from displaying that sort of behavior.
It does not.
What happens if anybody did that in your communities? Do you have moderators? Do you have a system of warnings?
We have a combination of moderation and automatic bot moderation. So certain terms, obviously all of the known derogatory terms are in our bot list, that if somebody uses those words, first time they'll get a warning, and then second time auto ban. They're removed from the server, but the message is instantly removed. So nobody is exposed to that message.
Okay, that is pretty impressive. I have to say, I do like that an awful lot.
I do that in. I do that in the Ardent and in my own Discord servers. I've sort of been experimenting with these bot implementations in my own servers before I came on board with Ardent. So as soon as I joined in, that was one of the things that I did, was implement a bot to eliminate all of that stuff. And same for our Twitch chat. We have an auto moderation list of slurs and terms and phrases that are not tolerated, so that they will get automatically removed. Chatters will get a warning, and if it happens again, out. Right. The entire Ardent team has moderation privileges. So if somebody is misbehaving in the server, we can manually remove them. And we sort of talk about these things in our active spaces as well, and let people know that they can come to us and they will be welcomed into our space.
That is pretty cool, I have to say. That is very, very nice indeed. What's been the biggest challenge that you have faced since you started with Ardent?
I think, honestly, it was the fact that I got the job at the same time as I was starting that course.
Okay.
So the biggest challenge has been having to wait 7 weeks to sink my teeth into the work and really start enacting all of the ideas and the plans that Erin and I have started workshopping, that Ralph and I have started workshopping, and really starting to elevate our community presence to the next level. So our plans have plans. We've got bunches of hunches, and we've got so many ideas that we want to implement, to partner with other members of the community, to create cool events, and just a space where other people can come and go, hey, look, I'm doing this thing, and we can share that thing. But course finished, and then it's been 2.5 weeks until Spiel. So
full on to 11.
Yeah. So that is all sort of boiling behind the scenes, but is going to start really happening from about next week onwards.
Okay.
So that's really been the biggest challenge, is sitting back and not doing the thing
that you actually wanted to do. I can imagine that must have been quite nail-biting, really. That must have been incredible. Okay. I can imagine an awful lot of people are a bit, once they see the product, because let's face it, you have to be slightly technologically orientated to be able to handle Ardent and to manage it properly. In terms of community, what kind of training or mentoring are you going to implement to make sure that people have it as easy as possible to get to grips with the platform?
Well, a few things, actually, some of which we're starting to implement over Spiel. So we have a bunch of live demos that will be getting hosted in Discord, where people can join the chat and ask questions as we're doing the demo and have them answered, which is a thing that after Spiel is over, we'll be continuing in our own Discord, sort of live, hey, we're working on this. This is how Ardent works. Come and join the chat and tell us what you want to know, what troubles you're having. Maybe a week. We haven't set a schedule for that yet. We're still sort of working that out. But that's one thing that we will be doing, is live demonstrations, both on Twitch and in our Discord server, where people can feel a bit more like they can ask things because we're not broadcasting it to everybody else. Also, already in the Discord, we have an Ardent 101 section where it has a link to our YouTube feed. So every time a new video gets posted, it pops up in there. But also there is a How to Ardent channel where all of our basic videos introducing what Ardent is and how it works are there. And that's all that's in that channel. So people can just scroll to the top and watch them natively in the Discord. And obviously those are in our YouTube channel. So people can go to our YouTube and look at that. We're fresh posting a bunch of our introduction to Ardent videos over Spiel on Facebook as well. So people will have those fresh at the top of the feed and they can just be like, oh, so that's a basic step-by-step on how it works. We've created a bunch of recorded demos that people can watch at their own leisure. And they will be able to pause and look closely at what the host is doing in the app and things like that, as well as an FAQ section, and will always be available in our Discord and on our Twitter and things like that, that people can go, hey, can you show me how to use this, or can you link me to a resource on how to use this feature because I haven't quite understood it. Especially in our Discord, the whole team is in there and we can answer questions pretty quickly.
Okay. I'm quite curious about how do you handle the different communities of users and creators, because I can imagine that they have completely different needs and completely different questions. Are you separating those, giving them a space so creators and users can talk as well? Are you preparing creators in a different manner? Am I asking too many questions now and I should shut up and let you answer? Probably yes. Sorry about that.
I have one question about that before I can answer fully. Is by creators, do you mean like D&D content creators and streamers, or people that want to create assets to use?
Well, a mix of everything, because I can imagine, well, firstly, if I were a writer, I would be interested in finding out, what support, how can I talk to you about my product in a confidential way? If I were somebody, like a 3D artist who's looked at the product and thought, I can do that. I want to do that. What kind of creations, could I offer? That sort of division is a very bad word, but filtering of communities.
Well, to start with, for writers, we actually have a master list of assets.
Okay.
And one of the plans that I've discussed with Erin and Ralph a little bit that we're sort of tinkering around with at the moment is reaching out to writers with that master list and going, hey, here's a list of what we have in Ardent. Do you have any adventures that already have those things in it? Because if so, we would like to run that adventure using the stuff that we have in our app. And then we can link to the creator's work and go, hey, we're playing this adventure today by this person. Just so happens we have everything you need in Ardent. Here's where you can go and buy that creator's work. Also, creators that want to create new content can just come to us and go and ask for, hey, I want to write something interesting that I'd like to be compatible with Ardent. Can I see what you got? And we also actually have a live catalog that people can browse now to see what the assets are and what they look like.
Okay. What if I'm a 3D content creator?
Okay. At the moment, we don't have any avenues for third-party 3D creators to load assets with Ardent. All of that is done in-house at the moment. I can't speak for the 3D team and Ralph's plans there, whether we're going to do something with that at a later date where we can have like a third-party content library or not. But if people want to suggest things to add to the app, I know that I'm thinking about trying to figure out some kind of a suggestions box that we can do where people can be like, hey, I'd really like to see a manticore in Ardent. I've got this adventure I'd really like to run, and you've got everything except for that. And then maybe every so often we'll do a community request special release or something like that. We haven't really gotten quite that far yet in the community management and development stage. A lot of it is still sort of baby steps, but as far as creators in the form of writers go, we have that support structure being developed right now. But as far as 3D creators go, we don't have anything for third-party content in the pipeline just yet. Not to say that there won't be in the future, but right now, that's sort of not where we're at.
Let's differentiate between two different different type of communities, which is the online community and the physical community. Now, the physical community nowadays is very difficult to reach because we are in a situation where traveling is, as it happens with Spiel, impossible. How are you? Well, let's also acknowledge that having a physical presence is very, very important
Yes.
because we are used to it. How are you mitigating that from the community management point of view?
Okay, so we have an ongoing regular campaign that happens at one of the local game stores here in Brisbane. So that is where we have one avenue where we are interacting with the locals and they get to see how things are working. And another thing that is going to actually help with that is honestly going to be our influencer outreach and partnership plan that we've started developing, where we'll be working with other creators who have their own live stream games and things like that, because the live streams will obviously be beneficial to both of us. But it'll be more of a thing of we'll create a support system for the stream team where they can get training from us on how to use the app. And we'll be providing them like a membership, a subscription and a deck of the cards per player and things like that, so that we'll have that physical interaction, because those people will then be able to go, oh, I've got this thing. I'm going to show it to my group outside of the live stream as well. And I'm going to go show this to my friendly local game store. We have our cards actually live with our fellow booth partners, Meeples and Dragons. And they do physical events sometimes as well, and conventions when conventions are starting again. Is obviously a big part of what we have done in the past and will be doing again in the future once conventions are a thing again. But right now, from plans that like Erin and Ralph and I have already discussed, that is sort of where we're going with things in the current closed doors and online sphere that is happening. It'll mostly be that working with individual groups, even groups that might still regularly get together at a space. We'll be working with them, possibly school programs once schools are back to normal. It's a difficult space to navigate right now. So a lot of things are concepts and what ifs, but that influencer management partnership plan is probably going to be our best outreach in the physical world for now.
Okay. What are the minimum requirements to become a Twitch or streaming partner with you?
Well, we're still developing the finalities of that plan, but a big thing is being interested and wanting to use Ardent, being passionate about, hey, I want to try this thing out. That is a big thing for us. Obviously, high profile streamers are great. That's great for everyone who ever wants to do anything with live streaming. But for us, it's more about people that are passionate about what we're doing and really want to use it and use it regularly and get involved and help us, spread the word about Ardent and build that community. People that are going to come into our Discord and ask questions and interact with the content. People that are going to get involved when we're posting events like, hey, we're going to do a live Ask Me Anything, and we might develop something based out of what the community asks us over this stream. People who show up and go, yeah, I want to be involved. Those sort of things all are going to lend to, who we partner with. obviously, if there's a person with 60,000 followers that has no interest in augmented reality, never uses anything like that, or doesn't even necessarily play their games in public, that person isn't going to be interested in working with us. But
no, I think I can see that.
Yeah, a person with 50 followers who all 50 of those followers are always talking to them and always interacting with their content and really excited about what they're doing. That's 50 new subscribers that might sign up. Or that's just 50 new people who would talk about what we're doing. So it's more about how engaged people are than how big people are.
I like how you're going for the quality content rather than the quantity. Since in social media and community management, there's been over the last few years, and that's beginning to change quite dramatically now. Bigger numbers meant bigger content, and I've always been in the. I'd rather talk to 20 passionate people than to 20,000, idle ones, because what's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly it. If you might broadcast to an audience of 50,000 and 5 people might sign up.
Exactly.
If you broadcast to an audience of 50 people and all of them sign up, that's great. That's 50 new people who love your thing and are going to talk to you about the thing.
Absolutely.
And that's it. And my philosophy for my own work before I even started working with Ardent is that a rising tide raises all ships. If you're excited about what I'm doing or what you're doing and you want to invite me to be a part of what you're doing, all right, let's do it. It benefits everyone. And especially like if I have more followers than you, but you want me to come on your thing, sure. If I could bring my audience to your thing,
why not?
Yeah. Because like I've been on a few smaller shows. I'm going on a slightly bigger show, and then like this week, I'm playing with B. Dave Walters, Alicia Marie, and a couple of Australian streamers of varying levels of renown, who are all really passionate about Ardent, who have been on my I want to play with these people list for a very long time, and it's going to benefit all 5 of us in a whole multitude of ways. We're going to get to share a new experience. This is my first time DMing with Ardent. This is their first time playing with Ardent. This is all of our first time playing together, except for B. Dave and Alicia. They're friends, so they've played together a few times. And it's also my first time streaming with any of these people or Ardent. So there's a whole lot of first experiences that we get to share. And that's really cool.
That's amazing. That's absolutely fantastic.
That's the most special part of it to me. And it's the same with my comics show. I don't have a lot of followers on Twitch. I have a reasonable amount on Twitter, and I've got less than 100 on Twitch. But I've had some amazing people say, yeah, I'll come on your show and talk about comics. And it's because it's about the passion and interacting with people in the right, the right ways. Like, hey, I like what you do. I'd like you to come and talk to me about what you do. I think it'd be good for both of us. And it is. Just this week, I had the co-creator of The Boys on my show.
Nice.
And it was a great time. We spent the entire time deep diving on the art of Dave Stevens in The Rocketeer.
Wow.
And it was a really special time. And it was so much fun.
That sounds absolutely amazing, because it's like, you just 2 geeks sharing your love for what you love. How much more special can you get than that? That's absolutely wonderful.
Exactly. And that's what my goals and Ardent's goals are with our community, is sharing this thing that we love with other people. And hopefully those other people will love it and share their love of it with us.
Okay, last question, and this is possibly the easiest question I'm going to ask you, and is for those people who are still hesitant, who are still a bit, computers at the table, it's just a distraction. What would you have to say to them to convince them to have a go at it?
This is my big question. As someone who is neurodiverse,
Mm-hmm.
I talk about this attitude a lot, this no phones at the table thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is actually kind of problematic for people with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, things like that. We use our phones at the table to, like, especially me with pretty high ADHD. I use my phone at the table, or I'll have a sketchbook at the table.
Yep.
So I can use my secondary focus to work off all my extra energy, so I can actually pay attention to what's going on at the table. If I'm not doing that and I'm sitting here just trying to listen, my brain will start pinging around thinking about a whole bunch of other unrelated nonsense inside, and I will lose the thread of what's happening in front of me.
Yep.
And after finally really playing around with Ardent and experimenting with it properly in preparation for this game, I love it. And I think it's going to be really good for a lot of people like me, because it will give us that extra something to do. But that extra something to do is directly related to what's actually happening. And so it's not a distraction. You could sit around that table with 5 friends and they will be looking at every angle of the thing that you're describing to them and investigating it and inspecting it. And they'll be listening to you tell them what's going on. And everyone's going to have a better time. I can't wait to actually be a player. I'm on the GM side of the screen right now, but I can't wait to be a player with someone using Ardent so I can experience that for myself, because I think it's going to be really helpful for those people with neurodiversities that need to stim at the table and need a little something extra to keep them busy so they can focus on what's happening.
That is actually a very, very good point.
I actually have been meaning to bring this up at after spiel with everyone about when I had this realization. So I'm really glad that you asked me that question, because this is something that I think is going to be really special. And I'm actually planning on sort of having some discussions with fellow neurodiverse Ttrpg people and see what they think about that idea as well. Because
I think it's absolutely, what you're saying is absolutely fantastic, because it's something I have experienced myself. I have a bit of dyslexia and a lot of dyscalculia, so I cannot take notes whilst I'm listening. I either listen or take notes, but I can touch type without a problem, because I'm not looking at the words, and then I can correct any spelling mistake if need be. So I always need to have my laptop or my tablet with a keyboard at the table so I can take notes. I don't know, for the people have said to me, no tablets at the table. And so, well, then I'm never going to remember who I have spoken with, where have we been, how many gold coins I've got, or what does this trinket that I found does. I have no idea, because I don't have a means to memorize everything or write it whilst we're playing unless I'm touch typing.
Exactly.
So what you're saying resonates a lot.
Yeah, and exactly. And I did a panel on that at PAX on neurodiversity and accessibility for tabletop gaming, and why these things are things that we need to address and change people's thinking about. Because if you don't ask someone why they have a device at the table, you don't know if they have a difficulty. If you just assume they're slacking off or being distracted and yell at them or tell them to put it away, you might lose a player who could be an amazing addition to your game. So we really have to rethink how we interact with people and our preconceived notions of what is and isn't polite at the table.
Definitely. And to be honest, I think to people who say, you're distracted, I think you can tell when somebody is just not interested in the game, and when somebody is proactively using whatever it is they're using to actually help focus their energies on the game. So I think a little bit of common sense goes a long, long way in that sort of situations.
That's exactly right. And conversation, honesty, dialogue, talking to your players. It doesn't have to be at the table. You can have a chat later, go, hey, anything I need to know about that I can help you with at the table? That question opens worlds of possibilities.
Absolutely. I like how you are. You speak like a true community manager, because what you're talking about is manage your community, and your community doesn't have to be big. Your people around the table, that's your community while you're playing. Manage them,
Exactly.
talk to them, get to know them. I
Exactly.
like that. I like that an awful lot. Okay, we're going to wrap it up, and I have three last questions for you,
Okay.
which are a bit weird, but quite fun. Question number one: what's the best advice that no one has ever given you?
That is a good question. Right. Don't listen to everything the doctor tells you. Get a second
Okay,
opinion.
okay. Good one indeed. Okay, second question is: what's the best mistake that you would like to make again?
Oh man, that is also a good question, actually. Um, I don't know, because having ADHD, the good old memory vault, the locked door is happening, and I can't recall a mistake
Hmm?
that ended up being something really. Oh, actually, no. Yes, I can. I don't know if I'd like to do it again, but it is a
Okay.
mistake that ended up being good. Somehow, recently, after spending 5 hours working on a piece of art, I thought I'd been hitting save the entire time, but because I was split screening, turned out I was just saving something else on a different window and not saving the artwork. But what was good about it was that because I was a bit distracted because I was using the artwork as my secondary focus while playing D&D, I
Hmm.
forgot that I was going to be coloring this piece of artwork in a different style as an experiment to what I normally would do.
Okay.
And I started coloring it in my normal fashion. So I did 5 hours of standard coloring the way I normally would. So when I opened it up and all of that work was gone a couple of days later, my initial reaction was, but then I was like, oh, wait, I stuffed up and did it wrong anyway. So now I get to do it the way I wanted to do it.
Okay. Well, I can see why that would be a font mistake to remember, not one you want to do all the time.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay.
If that mistake can happen anytime I do that,
Hmm?
sure, that'll be fine. But if it can only happen when I've done that, that'd be great.
Okay. Good. Last question. Imagine that you have a time machine,
Hmm.
and as you go back in time and you meet your 10-year-old self, and you say to your 10-year-old self, "Do not do this." What is this?
Good question. Do not work at the casino.
Okay.
I worked at a casino for a couple of years in Townsville, and it really sidelined my creative goals and things like that for a while because late night hospitality, um, peer pressure, drinking culture in a small coastal town, that sort of thing. It was not a very productive couple of years.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I feel like if I didn't work there, I probably would have come here sooner.
Okay.
So
Fair
that's,
enough. It is.
yeah, that's probably the main thing I can think of.
Excellent. Right, Shaun, thank you so much for being with me today. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I am so looking forward to seeing that Ardent community grow as high as it possibly can, because you guys deserve it, and the product deserves it too.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to that too because like I said, I've been a fan since before I worked for the company. So getting to be the company hype man is really special to me, and I really want to see more people using it.
Good. So let's make sure that that happens as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is it for now. Quite frankly, I think the point that Sean's made about having, technology around the table and how that can help focus people, that's wonderful. That is absolutely wonderful. And if you have never considered that before, this is the right time to start doing so. Please do take a look at Ardent, the platform. Please. Trust me, it is very, very well worth it. If you are a content creator, if you are a publisher, talk to them. Join their Discord channel. I have already done it, and it is everything that Shaun promised to be. So I look forward to hearing what you have to say about that. Please do leave the comments in the video description. And if you're listening to the podcast, please do let me know, get in touch, and leave us a review in iTunes or wherever it is you're listening, because that helps an awful lot. But until the next time, once again, thank you very much indeed for being there. And I will talk to you very, very soon. Take care.